Alrighty, hello everyone and welcome back to Call of Duty Modern Warfare 2 2009. So in this video we actually have kind of like a topic I'd like to talk about outside of this game. I just wanted to talk about the state of multi-COD, and you know, it comes to mind because I've been playing this game, and this game was at the peak of Call of Duty's life when multi-COD was a big thing, right? So people would go play Black Ops 2, they'd come on this game, and you know, whatever other games, Black Ops 1 and all this stuff that was popular at the time. And you know, it was when COD was still fairly new, and what I mean new is like new to fame and new to success, right? And here we are now, and what made me think of this is because Modern Warfare 2019, right? First COD I ever played, or not really actually, but first COD I legitimately played, had tons and tons of hours on, really got me into Call of Duty. And I still to this day play that game. I have, you know, hours and hours and hours. I have Damascus, I have all this stuff on the game, and I love the game. And I know it's a controversial game, but that's not the point. The point is I love the game. And despite how garbage these titles are that are coming out, like Cold War, which was okay, but again, they started with all the Mastercraft stuff too, and you know, like Vanguard and like Modern Warfare 2 and 3, where you know, they take a game and there's no theme, it's just a money grab, whatever gets them money, you know what I mean? They don't understand the concept of less is more. And you know, despite all these games being terrible, you know, we wouldn't have terrible Call of Duties if people in the COD community would just use their heads and stop just throwing their $70 at them every year because they just like to get pegged by Call of Duty and just have to have the game, right? You know, you don't have to buy the game, right? Because if Activision didn't have your money, they wouldn't keep doing that. They'd be like, wow, our game sucks, nobody fucking bought it, guess we actually have to make a good game. But no, that's not the case. You just give them the money. That's the same thing with BO7. I'm not buying BO7 until at least Season 2, where I can see the direction that the game's heading in. You know it's going to be good. You know what I mean? There's evidence. There's content creators who buy these games because they get paid to do it via YouTube or whatever. I'm done with it. And the reason that I'm complaining about it now, currently, is because my favorite game, Modern Warfare 2019, has now fallen victim to the same shit that every COD has fallen into, which is hackers. Because they don't care about the state of the game. They want people to hack these games. They want them to be ruined so that you have to go and buy the new game. Buy their new shitty game that you don't care about, that you don't have all these hours into, that you don't want to go and spend $70 on, right? You don't have $70, let's say. But that's not the case. You can go back to Battlefield. You can play any fucking Battlefield you want. There's going to be so minimal cheaters on these games because Battlefield isn't in it for that. You know, but COD just wants to be the new Fortnite. They want it. They have all this shit in their games. And that's why I specifically record this game so much, is because to prove a point that you don't have to go buy the new game. You don't have to go buy the new Call of Duty. You don't have to go spend $70. You can go do what you want. You know what I mean? And yeah, there's hackers on this game, but I'm fortunate enough to have an Xbox where I don't have to worry about losing all my shit to some loser on the internet. 2019 was like the last example of that, where the game had a theme, there was a direction for the game, and that was it, you know? And it was with the explosion of Warzone that COD was like, wow, we can really do all this shit. And here we are, these hackers here, you know what I mean? And again, and they're still profiting off of this shit with the hackers in it. They're putting these games on Game Pass, wanting you to buy them, not telling you about the cheaters, right? We have to have fucking YouTubers come out here and explain to you to not buy these games if you're on PC or even if you're on console. Nobody wants to put up with this shit, right? It's so absolutely absurd and disgusting, and it just annoys me so much because, like, there's such a huge community behind this game. If you look back down through the years and stuff like that, I grew up off this game, off these games, I should say. Tons of people did. I just highly advise you guys don't go and buy the new game off the rip. You know what I mean? Because, like I said, if we had people who weren't doing that and actually took some time to judge the game and be like, I don't know, you know, we probably wouldn't be in the situation that we are in right now. You know, it's always these like small team game development games that have good quality time and effort put into them, that have the most critical and criticizing communities you've ever seen. And then when it comes to these large like chain like games like Call of Duty now, there's a bunch of them, and you know, it's a big development team and all this shit. Nobody really seems to care. You know, people say bad stuff about the game, but they still bought it. They still hand in their money, you know. So, you know, like I said, nobody really cares what you have to say when you already handed them your money. It's just kind of how that works. To be fair, all this extreme hacking stuff on 2019 is fairly new. It only started really heavily occurring about a week ago, and I seen it off of some video on YouTube. I'll put it up on screen because I forgot the guy's name. And it was like, he queues like 4 or 5 games in a row, and each time there's a guy with the EBR. It's the same shit that you find in these games, man. Guys aiming up in the air, spinning, and he's shooting. He's killing everyone, headshotting everyone. I highly advise you watch the video because it's absolutely insane. And, you know, it sucks, you know, even if you didn't like 2019, imagine if it was Cold War, if you were a Cold War person, even though that game was absolutely terrible. But, you know what I mean? Or whatever. I don't really care. You know, even, what's another game? Even MWR. Actually, MWR doesn't really have any cheaters to my knowledge. I've yet to see any on there, so it's kind of ridiculous. I hope, you know, maybe they patch it. I mean, the game isn't that old, you know what I mean? But again, even if they do patch it, it'll take forever. They probably won't patch it until after BO7 is already released and you already went and bought it. I love Call of Duty. I don't want it to sound like I'm trying to be a hater, but I'm saying all this because I like COD and I like these games. And you know, I go from playing these newer CODs to going back and playing these old CODs, and I question, you know, damn, why are these games so much better? You know, they're old and the graphics are shit compared to what you have now. But even then, I like these older graphics. I kind of prefer it. But that's besides the point. The game itself is just more fun. I'm having more fun, you know. Maybe fundamentally it's not better, but in terms of am I having fun, which is a point of a game, yeah, I am. I'm having more fun. And, you know, why is that? And it's because, again, there was a standard to be met on these games. Yeah, that's going to be it for this video, guys. I kind of just got back from work, so this is my first game, playing like shit, and kind of tired, so no face cam or anything like that. But just a quick, you know, PSA, if you will, of, you know, what's to come with Call of Duty, and, you know, maybe just consider something. So anyways, thank you guys for watching, and I'll see you guys next time. Peace.
Bitch, I'm fucked up off the beat now. Come back to the crib, bitch, I'm finna lay it down. All these drugs up on the nightstand, fucking nightgown. We high off the molly, I don't wanna sit down. It's smoked out, bitch, we know that you tryna do me.